So a standard shopping campaign catch-all is kind of like 100 different standard shopping campaigns if there's 100 SKUs in there, but it is reactive to a shared budget. So it is extremely efficient and pure inbound demand from a search perspective and pure inbound demand from a conversion perspective. Whatever has the highest amount of conversions and demand gets the lion's share of the ad spend. Now, it may not be what he wanted, but it was absolutely more efficient in a volume and efficiency, 1%, but still, you think of a custom 40, campaign build out would beat just one campaign. A lot of times it doesn't. We're going to be talking about, I have like 1,000 SKUs, 100 SKUs, 5,000 SKUs. What do I do? I've always been the biggest proponent of a one big standard shopping campaign with all products, because standard shopping technically is like, if you have one standard shopping campaign and 100 products, you kind of have 100 different standard shopping campaigns. They're just using a shared budget.
Yeah.
It's kind of it. Now, unless you have those standard shopping campaigns all with different TROAS targets, okay, now you're kind of doing more spend control. So this is just like apples to apples, or apples to apples kind of comparison, which is what is the more effective spend. So what I'm going to look at here is the date range before this, from the 24th through the 17th.
Same margin, we're assuming.
Same products. I mean, basically everything. Yeah. We have about 35 different SKUs ranging between $50 and $250 AOV, but like 28 of those 35 are like between $50 and $75. We have some stacks, some bundles that are big, but that's not neither the focus or the majority of the sales.
Okay.
So in this time range, we had from the 14th to the 27th, we had one big standard shopping campaign that we're spending 85 grand every 2 weeks. So basically just think about, 4,250, 4,200 or 42,050 a week. So fairly high spend campaign. This campaign at the time, which we can't see it because if you just go in there and look at the products, there's nothing in there because it's paused. They're not eligible. So this had 178 different SKUs, but you can see like there's some things like melatonin free versus a non-melatonin free, or like sometimes you get ICPs. Or you get like the lemon lime versus the tropical blast. But there's about 25, 30-ish main SKUs with just some slight variations. But what you'll notice here is if we look at the spend descending, this really wanted to spend from 25,000, 23,000, 11, all the way down to 3. So you basically had 3 flagship products that were spending a lot of money. So these 3 products were spending at least over 10 grand during this 2-week period. And then the next highest was 3 grand. And then a couple down from there, less than 1,000. And that was less than 1,000 all the way down the bottom. Now, the client looked at this and said, yeah, I would really not like to spend, on just GLP-1, NitroWood, and another GLP-1. I'd like to start pushing ad spend to the other products that are not getting attention. A very, very common request.
Quick question, though. Yeah. What's the TROAS on this?
10%.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, this is one campaign, 10%. I think it was 10% at the time. I don't think I changed it at all. Let me look at the ad group. No, it was 80%.
Okay.
Yeah, this one, I think at the time before we swapped it up, was at 30%. We cranked it up. I said, no, we'll just rebuild it. So it was at 30%. We went inside the ad group and it hit 80% because he's like, hey, I'd like to see if I can push it out. The other ones were doing better. I was like, well, let's try to do a little bit higher TROAS. And I was like, well, this is a dumb idea. Scrap it. Then let's just rebuild. Okay. So it was at actually at 30%. We did an ad group at 80, but that was actually same day. So this was like, it was at 10, went up to 30, but basically it was between 10 and 30 for the entirety of the time.
Okay. So super aggressive. Got it.
Very aggressive. Exactly right. Because this is also first click new customer only. We are using blot out still. And so you have the conversions that we're counting on the conversion tablet is just new customers. We will have 489 new for 124 returning, but it only sees a 49. And that's why we needed this to be really, really, really aggressive, because how do you predict the first click? You can't. It's not Miss Cleo. It's just, a very smart algorithm, but it can't predict the future. So, right.
I've heard that story a few times. It's so funny.
Like the people over 30 are like, everyone else is like, who the hell is that? So after that, we swapped over to now this model here, which is all of those individual products all broken out. So we have, our shreds, cleanse, natural woods, all that kind of stuff. So this is all now broken out individually in individual standing shopping campaigns. And there's a couple like brand in Singapore that's just launching the last like 2 days or some of that. So none of this is really affecting it. And it's actually doing pretty well. So if anything, sometimes the metrics are a little bit better. But watch this. If we look at just total top line, this is what was interesting. Is it was extremely effective and still is extremely effective. The difference between the two structures, one big one and like 15 little ones. And when I say 15 little ones, we actually had a lot more than that. We actually tested all of them. We had campaigns that are paused. So like this one, 2,500, 2,500. So all of these that are paused had 2,500 spend, 25, 25, 24, 24, 25, 19. Like we had some spend, everything was paused. He goes, yeah, you know what? I don't want that one. Don't want that one. Don't want that one. We'll keep this one. So he's just kind of picking and choosing which ones he wants to continue with. This is still including that though. We're going to look at everything in its entirety, which is at the account level. And that means that no matter what's running and what's not running, doesn't matter. The stuff in the account level is different than what is all enabled. So if we look at the state range here, the 28th of this last month is when we made the change. And I was a little surprised, but not too surprised. When we look at the actual account level, we have 13% less spend and 7% less conversions. So it did spend less and technically make more, yes. But when you look at the shopping campaigns, this is shopping to shopping, 1 versus 30. This one has 18% less spend, 17% less conversion. I mean, we are within 1% efficiency.
1 to 1 almost, yeah.
Now, it can't spend as much, though. The reason why is because the delta as to what Google wanted to spend versus what the daily ad spend we changed it into reduced more on the high selling items and was increased less on the low selling items. And what I mean by that is my handy dandy paint.
I was going to say that did make sense to me.
I know. It's funny. So remember this, if we look at these here, I'm going to take, we're going to do this. So this is our top kind of 3 selling products. And then we have kind of like everything else down here.
Okay. And that represents volume.
Exactly right. The volume, the spend, and the low stuff all kind of trailing off down to basically nothing. Don't look at the width, look at the height. So essentially what happened was Google says, hey, I really like these 3. I can kind of care less about everything else. And what we said is cool, but this is where everything needs to spend. Everything has like a $300 per day spend. So the ads that were selling the high selling products at like 1,800 and 1,500 a day got snuffed down to 300. So that was the large drop off. But everything else that had low spend had like $300 added to it. So we took a best selling items, a high amount of ad spend, and we exchanged it for low selling items having more ad spend. So our best sellers became our mediocre sellers, and our worst sellers became also mediocre sellers.
Gotcha.
So this is obviously day 1. But and it wasn't really that clear cut and dry. We did it for like the first week everything had the same spend level. It was at 318. And then some things were moved down to 100 and some things were pushed up to 600. So it was actually like 318, some goes down to 1. So we shove off $200 here. The 318 goes up to 6. So we add $300 over here. So we did kind of try to even it out a bit, but it was still less efficient. Now, why? Well, when you look at a standard shopping campaign, your standard shopping campaign that has, let's say, 2 products in it, horse tranquilizers and Ferraris. I mean, I'm going way off. Now, if both campaigns can share 10 grand, whatever has the highest amount of inbound brand or inbound searches that are converting is now it could be 80% horse tranquilizers and 20% Ferraris. And we said, I want 50-50. It's like, well, I'm definitely making a lot less sales of horse tranquilizers by 50% down. Let's just say, because we cut our spend in half. The Ferraris that we couldn't really spend on, you're forcing spend on them now. You're saying you couldn't sell 20 Ferraris. You're only selling 10. Here's enough ad spend to sell 20 Ferraris and it's selling 17.
Gotcha.
So we basically said whatever sells. Search terms are completely different. The products that show on those search terms are completely different. Like everything is still hyper segmented in a catch-all campaign. you're not really going to have horse tranquilizers show up for Ferraris, and you're not going to have Ferraris show up for horse tranquilizers.
Yeah, based on the conversion-based bidding.
Exactly. And you're only buying relevant traffic because the search term has to be relevant to the SKU, which has to be relevant to the user, which is why they click. So a standard shopping campaign catch-all is kind of like 100 different standard shopping campaigns if there's 100 SKUs in there, but it is reactive to a shared budget. So it is extremely efficient, and pure inbound demand from a search perspective and pure inbound demand from a conversion perspective, whatever has the highest amount of conversions and demand gets the lion's share of the ad spend. Now, it may not be what he wanted, but it was absolutely more efficient in a volume and efficiency, 1%, but still, you think of a custom 40, campaign build out would beat just one campaign. A lot of times it doesn't.
So number one is, so you're saying that the delta between us knowing where the spend should be versus the fluctuation of traffic that Google has is greater than the regular ebb and flow of spend going up one day, down another day, averaged out over 30.4 days. Mm-hmm. So there is a delta. It might not be massive because there's still fluctuation based on conversion-based bidding. However, averaged out over enough time that will start to increase and be larger or show a larger increase between more efficient, less efficient kind of thing from splitting the two. Okay. Now the other point though is that you're using first click CAPI imports, which is allowing it to get the feedback it needs to know the budget allocation for the prospecting. Mm-hmm. So that's a very key point then. So the question or the opposite side of the equation I'm thinking of is, well, if you have standard shopping and you're trying to go after new users and you're prospecting, it might not prospect. It might just go after what it knows is going to convert, which might just be what you want because you want to capture what you know converts first. And then you expand into prospecting, and that's where budget management comes into. Mm-hmm. Is that still the same with that combination, meaning that you scale the same way you would scale things separately? Like there's not like a different ratio or anything of that nature, or is there a different way of doing it?
Well, that's kind of what we don't know yet. And that was my original kind of question back to the client was, okay, if we were going to be spending a lot of money on this product here, for example, we have our clicks kind of heading up, conversions are heading up, cost is heading up, like everything's looking good. If I turn off the stupid segmentation, we can overlay the cost and conversions, like it's getting better and better and better. And this is starting to work well. The ad spend increase also shows like there is a absolute increase in efficiency or in scalability, 91% more spend, 120% more conversions. Now, this is looking very good, right? A nice, healthy spend, double the budget, more than double the revenue. Good. Now we go into the products here. We have an $89 product that has a value per conversion average of 153. So what did we really do? We really just controlled the amount of first clicks to a product that anybody's going to buy ever. Okay. And what's interesting about this is we took products that had less than $1,000 in 2-week ad spend, and we started putting $350 on it every day. It's not selling any more of those products. It's just
you're trying to force prospecting. That's not happening.
Right. It's almost like if I'm looking at like garden hose, okay, and I see that I have, all right, let me just see. Okay, Goodland here and here. Someone said, I double the spend on this product here, and I cut the ad spend on this product here. Now, do we even know or care at this level? I need a hose, man. Like, just give me a hose. Like,
it's pretty generalized.
So this is 325.
But if you were to show different garden gnomes, you might have a different effect because garden gnomes look different.
Yeah, or is it looking like this one is 100 feet and this is a 50 foot? And I'm like, all right, I actually need that.
Yeah.
Now, do you need the Nitro Wood Magnum with circulation, or do you want to have the non-Magnum, which has a lower amount? Do you want it to have a Apex that actually has some testosterone booster in it, or do you want to have
the one do some more research? Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to click on this ad here, but I don't know what the hell I'm going to buy yet.
Yeah.
And that's why the AOV is 50% off. Hey, if you like this video, we have a school community where we have a few hundred members and we cover topics, everything from the basics to all the way to the like hyper crazy advanced stuff that's like coming out next month. So a few hundred members there. We go live twice a week, something with an hour-long education about something that is very relevant to the community that week, plus a weekly Q&A where you just get to come and bring us all of your problems and we solve them one at a time.
So I have a link below in the description if you want to join. And then obviously if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we can answer those for you. And we'll see you in there.